Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Thrasher. I am a junior in high school from the Bay Area, and I'm excited to share my experience about exploring meaningful work and employee fulfillment. So, on the first slide here, we have the overview of this presentation. I'm going to start with an introduction, and then we will talk about my research question, key terms, some hypotheses, my methods, results, and the conclusion. So, as we can see here, staying motivated and fulfilled at work is hard. I'm sure plenty of you have had experiences, maybe not in the business world, but just in general, where you find yourselves unmotivated, bored, or maybe even feeling like what you're doing at the moment isn't worth your time. And in the workforce, this is actually fairly common. And people often find themselves in careers that leave them with that lack of fulfillment. Even according to Gallup's Global Workforce Report, only 33% of employees are engaged at work. And this gap is ever growing throughout the world, which is a really big concern and a growing obstacle. As we can see here, motivation plays a crucial role in our functioning society because it drives the growth of the world through our individual skills and talents. And all this information about this concern led me on my research path of aiming to discover the factors that affect this employee fulfillment in different types of firms and why this gap is just so large. I really chose to work on this project because I'm interested in real employees' views on their jobs and how their work just affects their daily life. So, my research question, really specific here, is how does the experience of working in a nonprofit organization differ from working in a for profit company in terms of its impact on an employee's satisfaction and sense of fulfillment? And in simpler terms, what we're trying to find is which employees feel the most fulfilled in their work and why. So, I'm really passionate about exploring this connection between employee work type and meaningful work. So that's why I chose this question. So now let's talk about some key terms and our types of organizations that we're going to be talking about. So our first organization here is nonprofit firms, which really focus on that social good. They want to advance those social causes and address the societal issues. And employees can often find meaningful work through the alignment of their values in the organization's mission. So that's really cool. However, challenges may arise when resources are limited because the perception of meaningful work can be impacted. And because these organizations are just relying on donations and grants to sustain their operations, this meaningful work can be overshadowed. Our second type of organization is a for-profit firm, which primary objective is maximizing profits. This really drives economic growth and does create jobs. In fact, for-profit firms employ approximately 70% of the total workforce. But the focus on financial gains can often overshadow the meaningful work. So in the end, balancing the competitive environment of trying to make money while still trying to create that meaningful work remains a critical challenge. So here we have some hypotheses. These are just some things I thought from the beginning, and based on input from others, seemed like similar assumptions. So I thought that for my first hypothesis, that a sense of meaningful work would be higher in nonprofit firms than in for-profit firms, just because the people that typically work at nonprofit firms are really passionate about what they're doing because they're not working for pay. So I would think that they would find that more meaningful. And the other hypothesis I had was that the factors of stress and income will have a significant impact on meaningful work. In terms of the amount of money you're getting paid may impact how you feel about your work and if you think it's meaningful enough to you. And also your stress, I feel like can have a significant impact on how you feel about certain things in your life. So I really just wanted to explore that. So in terms of my methods, I was able to use Survey Swap to get opinions from 116 participants, which was really cool. And I got to hear all their voices across various industries in order to just achieve my goals of finding out all this information. So I asked them some questions where scales were measured from 1 strongly disagree to 7 strongly agree. And at the beginning, I also just reported or tried to gather their income, gender, age, hours worked per week, just for some perspective, and obviously to use in the control models and robustness checks. So in terms of the questions, I first obviously asked which type of job they held, and then I kind of dove into the sector of meaningful work. So these are some of the questions I asked. You can read thoroughly through them more, but for the first one, I said, I found meaningful career. I feel my work is meaningful. Just those questions about how they feel their work is meaningful. Then I just wanted to ask this one question about job satisfaction, if they were just satisfied with their job. And then in terms of stress, I really wanted to dive into that factor. So I asked a few questions about that, like my work is stressful, my work has negative effects on my health, etc. In terms of the results, this was just a breakdown of the people who answered my survey, which I thought was interesting. Mostly, obviously, you can see for-profit, but it was interesting to see all the different opinions that went into this survey. And right here is my table, which has all of our specific numbers and things. But our overall results in words, which was very shocking, was that there were no significant group differences. I concluded that there was not a lot of significant numbers or changes or anything, which was super interesting because that was just a significant contrast between what I had anticipated. Specifically, the influence of income was really minor on both sides of the group, which was quite interesting. And there was even almost zero relationship between stress and meaningful work in both groups. So those were two factors that I really thought would have a huge a huge impact on this. So it was really intriguing to observe those results and just seeing how they differed from prior expectations regarding the impact of those things. So yes. So in conclusion, this all really does challenge the prior assumptions about fulfillment in nonprofit and for-profit firms. And these unforeseen results really just impact society's like views and everything that everybody thinks may not be as it seems. So that was really interesting. And I think further explanation and exploration could prompt a more conclusive understanding of what fulfills humans in their work. And I think this just drives a need for a deeper understanding of the complexity of what makes work fulfilling for humans, because clearly it was not what I thought. So I think this study not only evokes new research, but represents the crucial role of just nurturing those purpose-driven cultures in all types of the workforce. So yes, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to read more about my work, I'm currently in the process of getting it published in the International Journal of High School Research. And because this is asynchronous, I know you cannot ask questions directly, but if you do have any, please feel free to email me at clairethrasher@gmail.com. And thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed.